I don't expect anyone to watch these videos, um, but we're all getting older, and the best way to kind of remember is to actually record who you were and what you thought at whatever time in history. So that's what I'm doing. And this year, I don't know, I guess you can have like everyone has New Year's resolutions or goals or whatever, but this year I want to document who I am and what has happened to me. Just my whole life, basically. And just see how that goes. Because I know there's people who do that. But again, I don't really expect anything from it. This is really just for documentation. So I guess I have some topics. So this first topic is who I am when no one is watching. And the first thing you'll think about when you think about this is like secrets, stuff you don't want anyone to know about. But I mean it here in the sense of just how do you live with yourself? And the way I do it is the first thing is I laugh a lot. Like I almost it's weird because I almost make myself laugh. You know what I mean? Like recently, like I'd say in the past year and a half, I've and they say, because right now I'm about to be 24, and they say that these years from 24 to like I don't know 30 or whatever, they're really difficult because young adults have a lot of pressure because you look back, you know what, this is what it is, you're realizing how little time you actually have, because it seems like just yesterday 2020 happened, and I was 18, and a lot of people in my class, here in the States, we didn't graduate. So it's crazy how time flies. And I think you start to realize that once you turn 21 or 22. That might be a little early, but because, like I'm saying, 24 is usually the time you realize, hey, this time is flying. It's like because every year you're a little older and a year seems shorter in relation to how long you've lived already, because you've lived for longer. So like if you spend a year at 17, it's gonna seem like forever to you. But then it seems like just yesterday was 2024. So we're realizing, all of us, that life really is short. This is when it starts to make sense how your parents and older people used to say that, and they almost would kind of laugh at you because they really want you to it's I feel like there can be malicious intent in that. Like when they say that, they want you to feel it too, you know what I mean? Which, I mean, that's gonna be there. But so I've been really, I mean, who am I to be different, you know what I mean? It's been hitting me too, and I end up trying to find ways to really cope with a lot of things, and laughter is one of my favorite things. And to me, and I'll talk about this later, but I have this weird relationship with sadness. Sadness to me feels like home. Like it feels like you come into your neighborhood, and if you have a car, you pull the car into the driveway, and you go into your house and it smells exactly like how your house always smells. To me, sadness is like that. It's like home base. And to me, I laugh a lot because when I don't, there's like a shadow that starts to come over my existence. And to keep that thing, you know what I mean? I like to, even if it's and I end up laughing at a lot of dark things too. That's another thing. I wrote some things because we're so dumb now. We can't even remember our points of discussion when we make videos. But anyway, I laugh at like dark stuff a lot. And I think that's something that, and being black too, like we laugh at dark stuff. We don't mind because we've been in a situation just not too long ago. It hasn't, don't say get over it. It hasn't even been that long. that, was if you can find laughter in that, then that's a real achievement. So we kind of have that in us. So, and I have that doubly, like, I don't know. But another thing is, I like to, and I think everybody does this too, is to have a conversation with myself, not respond to myself. Not that. It's just to have, like, to hear my own thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, just whatever I'm, because I don't know. I think a lot of us, this is another thing too, a lot of us are lonely. And that will cause you, and you know what, there's kind of a difference between alone and lonely, because lonely is when you, like, when you see that and then you kind of start feeling bad for yourself. But alone is just, you don't really mind it, and a lot of people are starting to be, they're starting to not mind that idea of being alone. So because of that, you might turn to yourself and look at yourself a little bit more, like, and that includes your thoughts and what you feel about things. You're more expressive in your own mind because, it's just you, and it's been you for a long time, and there's not really anybody. To me, man, I got to talk about that too. That's crazy how everyone is just, my shirt is wrinkled. Don't say anything about that. It's what happened. I'm sorry. I just happened to notice that. But it's crazy how we're growing apart as humans, and everybody thinks that it's somebody else's fault. It's everybody's fault. Even if you feel it's my fault saying it now, even if I feel like I'm not really part of it, it's partly my fault. Because everybody has to make an effort to keep a line of communication. I'm going to talk about this too. Lack of communication creates enemies. That's the real truth of anything I'm saying in here. That's the most important thing. Lack of communication creates enemies. You have to keep a line of communication open, because if you don't, because you're always going to be thinking things. And if you don't vocalize what you think, then this person is on page 47 and you're on page 56. And it doesn't make sense now. And now, because of that, and no one is able to say that. Anyway, I got off, but I was just talking about, how I'm more vocal with myself also. One thing, this is personal, but I speak Spanish too. And I try to remember what I've learned, because I don't live anymore in Mexico. I used to live in Mexico. And, to retain that information, I try to basically translate my thoughts, or only just speak in Spanish. And that's something that really kind of has actually helped me. And that's something because if you're able to retain the language that you learned, and you're not in the country that speaks that language, then you almost could teach the language yourself, because you know how to anyway. So that's one other thing I do. Another thing is I worry a lot, and again, this is most people. I'm not saying anything that doesn't apply to most people who might even watch this video, but yeah, I worry a lot about the future though, like, personally, and just the future of this country. I mean, I don't know. Looking at what's happening, there doesn't seem to be, like, bro, 2020 messed so many things up, and they were just left that way. There was no day where we said, okay, we're going to stop this practice because, we've gotten whatever virus this was, we got this under control now. We're going to go back to this. We didn't have a real, that should be now a holiday, which the idea of a holiday is already silly, but that should be a special day in the United States. On this date, we put an end to COVID. And that should be, like, it should be so important that it should be celebrated. every year. This was the day when this happened. It's almost like you got your independence from a thing that had the nation in shut down completely. But like I said, so many things have not gone back to the way they were, and that is scary, man, because something else could easily happen and nothing goes back. And do you notice how that keeps happening? Every time something happens, like 9/11, that was one instance where, because the country was doing well, for as well as the United States could be doing, you know what I mean? And something happened and it never went back to how it was. Now this happened and it's never going to go back. And a lot of us hold out hope that it will get better, but realistically speaking, it's not going to. And that's troublesome. That's something to really be thinking about. So that, and then just personal things too, like, I don't know. Like worrying is, to me, how you'll want to worry, like you want to reach for it. It can be like a drug, something that, because what you're trying to do is figure things out. Like, okay, how can I make this thing go away? How can I make this problem go? What can I do about this? You're constantly trying to figure out what you can do it. It's like an obsession, you know what I mean? But I don't know. Like I said in the beginning of the video too, I have this sadness, man, that I can't get rid of. And you know what? I'm going to talk about that later. But yeah, so video 1. This was just documentation of who I am when I'm alone.